It can only be attributable to human error.
You're entering paranormal.
He meddled in things that you keep so far. He meddled in things. He meddled in things.
Where will we go next? It is a phantom from another time.
No one, Mr. Mulder.
That's it, man. Game over, man. Game over.
That is one big pile of shit.
Hello, I'm Alex Daikaiju,
I'm Jasmine Maywith.
And I'm Eli Watson.
and you're listening to
Cryptid
Campfire.
Yeah, we all say it together.
Did you forget about that
Yeah,
part?
I did.
It's okay. We are only recording once a month now, so you may lose a little bit of the habits.
Trying to go back to the gym, work out once a month. Perfect plan.
Perfect plan. Once a month.
But yes, we're back for a new episode. Hello. We're going to go back to our format a little bit today. Last month, we had some fun with some Halloween-y, spooky type stuff. Today, we're talking about none other than the Japanese Bigfoot.
The Hibagon.
The Hibagon.
Yeah. Bigfoot's not just for North America anymore.
He's not.
Not anymore.
He made his
He ever
way.
was.
He's big in Japan, folks.
He is. Actually, he's small in Japan in comparison to the
Yeah.
American Sasquatch.
Yeah. So why don't you get into that? How tall is the Hibagon?
As far as I'm concerned, about 5 feet.
Sure about that?
I don't know. I'm not sure about anything.
Not according to the butt prints.
Oh gosh, the butt prints.
We'll
The
get
butt
there.
print?
Oh,
We'll
okay.
get there.
You're jumping so far ahead.
Yeah.
A little teaser before the main course.
Yeah, why don't we talk about where we're at in Japan?
Yeah, well, let's begin with the name itself, Hibagon. What does this mean, Hibagon? What is a Hibagon? You might be wondering, the word Hibagon, what does it mean? Well, I can tell you that it means monster of Mount Hiba. See?
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
I didn't get the meaning of the name. What's funny is there's Hibagon or Hinagon, to where they switched out the B with an N, and I'm not sure if that.
There's a movie with that title. Is that what you're referencing? The movie, or did you read that somewhere else as well?
Well, I got I know we do our sources at the end, but
Sure. Give us a taste. Where'd you go?
I'll give you guys a fun taste of so CryptidWikis makes an appearance. They're back, baby. They got a little more on the Hibagon. But I was like, let me go to Wikipedia. Let me check out Wikipedia. And this has to be quite possibly the funniest Wikipedia page I've ever found.
Really?
Because I'll read you guys just the paragraph, because the top paragraph, because it's basically the whole article. The Hibagon, or Hinagon, is the Japanese equivalent of the North American Bigfoot or the Himalayan Yeti. Citation needed.
Yeah.
Sightings have been reported since the 70s around Mount Hiba in the Hiroshima prefecture. Citation needed. And then everything is literally... The Hibagon is described as a black creature with white hands or large white feet, standing about 5 feet tall. Citation needed. And has been said to resemble a gorilla. Citation needed. Everything on the Wikipedia is followed by citation needed. There's no citations on this page at all.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, I did look at that, and I think I also, I looked at it, but I didn't write it down, or I had it written down at one point and then deleted it because I didn't think it was important. That Wikipedia page was edited pretty recently.
Ooh, let's look at the
If
history.
you've got it pulled up.
See.
And then, fun fact, the Cryptid's wiki is literally verbatim a copy and pasted article from Cryptomundo.
Yeah.
Oh, this was last edited 4 months ago.
Yeah, that's pretty recent, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, let's see. Whoa. 2015 this page just started.
Oh, wow.
Wow.
Okay. Well, even though the citation is needed for all of that information, that is pretty consistent with everything else that we've read and come across, I believe.
Yeah, that is correct. But also, other questions are raised. We have Hibagon, meaning monster of Mount Hiba, but what is Mount Hiba?
What is Mount Hiba?
A mountain?
In Japan?
It is. It's actually a kind of small mountain compared
It
to,
is.
like, mountains that we usually talk about.
In fact, yeah, well, we'll get into it later, but Kyle Brink, who is probably the biggest Hibagon researcher,
Yeah.
Oh, yeah?
talks about how Mount Hiba is not like one of the larger, more famous mountains. It's not like Mount Fuji. It looks like a little hill.
It's the 10th highest in the Chugoku mountain range with a height of about 1,299 meters, which equals 4,262 feet. The reason we call it the Hibagon is because Mount Hiba is where most of the sightings have occurred. Not all of the sightings have occurred on Mount Hiba, but that is where most of the sightings have occurred. And this mountain is in Hiroshima Prefecture.
Hiroshima Prefecture, which is northern part of the Hiroshima Prefecture, which is southern Japan. So let that sink in.
It's the most northern part of southern Japan.
Also, let this sink in. I know you know, Eli.
Huh?
Alex, do you have any idea how big Japan actually is? Like, if you were to make a comparison, how big do you think Japan is? The whole country.
I'm sure I've seen it put before. Off the top of my head, I would say, like, is it like as big as Texas or something?
You're kind of close. It is almost exactly the same size as California.
Oh, okay.
So if you were to take the two and lay them on top of each other, it's almost the same size. And 73% of Japan is forested and mountainous.
Yeah.
Well, here's some information I pulled up on the description of the Hibagon, as Alex has perfectly led us into. He is reddish or black in color, sometimes has a white patch of fur on its chest or arms. There's usually a foul smell reported along with the sighting. Face covered in bristles, a longer face, meaning a more prognathic face, like a baboon.
Mm-hmm.
And it's not flat like humans, and the head is shaped like an inverted triangle. Mostly seen walking bipedally, sometimes walking quadrupedally, and even some reports say hopping along like a monkey.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, the Hibagon is more like an ape or gorilla than the Sasquatch is in comparison. I made it sound like I was going to say more after that, but that was the end of my statement.
I'm confused by that.
What do
How
you
is
mean?
it more like an ape or a gorilla by
In
comparison?
appearance.
Maybe.
Because it does the all fours thing, and it's
Sure.
black.
So are reports of Sasquatch.
Okay.
And the conical
All
head.
right.
But do we want to go down the
I'm
rabbit
gonna
hole?
fight. Are we gonna
We're
fight?
We're gonna fight about Bigfoot's walk cycles.
Well, there are reports of Bigfoot on all fours.
But are there reports of Bigfoot swaying from side to side?
Absolutely. That's
Yeah.
why I was so intrigued last night. I guess we could add this to the description here, is that there are several reports of Hibagon swaying from side to side. I know of several reports that I have investigated myself, where Bigfoot is seen swaying from side to side.
Now, when you say swaying, what you mean?
It's described.
So
not
I throw
with-
my hands up to play my song.
Bigfoot's go away.
No.
Is it? I guess my question more specifically, when we say either a Bigfoot or a Hibagon is swaying from side to side, does that mean it is standing stationary and it's just swaying back and forth, or when
It's
it's
kind of-
walking, it's kind of like?
I've never heard of
Leaning.
reports of Bigfoot swaying while walking. It's usually always stationary. It's standing up, and it's not like a kind of funny sway where it's almost like an S-like pattern. It's stiff-backed, and it's almost rocking from side to side, like almost trying to get a different angle, but it's moving its whole body instead of just its neck or just its head.
Okay.
You know? So I'm not sure why they do that, because I don't know. See, that's the other thing too. What I don't know is if that's reported amongst the other great apes, like orangutans, gorillas, or chimpanzees.
Mm-hmm.
That would be interesting to look at. But also, those three are much more quadrupedal than bipedal, as opposed to a Bigfoot or a Hibagon. So, I don't know.
And you mentioned they're a little foul smelling.
Stinky boys.
Little stinky boys. The CryptoWikis likes to say, like all hominids, they have a unique stench
Oh,
that is said to smell like decomposing flesh.
wow. I don't know if we got so much description of that.
I will say that I don't think the quote master list of sightings makes any mention of stench.
Mm.
And we'll talk about that master list a little bit later.
Okay, I'm curious now. But yeah, like all great Bigfoots before him, he's stinky.
But one thing that's not present with the Hibagon that is with Sasquatch or Bigfoot are either vocalizations or any kind of sound at all, actually. They're pretty silent.
Mm-hmm. Which is another ding against the comparison. All the other apes make noises.
Hootin', hollerin'.
Even doing long calls and howls.
Ooh, ee, ooh, ah, ah, and...
Those are monkeys. So, but yeah, it is interesting to me that there are no reported sounds with the Hibagon. That's not to say that they don't make sounds.
Yeah.
It's just that either people haven't heard them, or if they do hear them, attribute them to something else.
They're too polite when they're in company.
Yeah.
Speak up.
Yeah. They're soft-spoken.
Yeah. Maybe if we could just sit down and listen to what the Hibagon has to say, maybe he'll make a noise.
Okay, so where does that take us?
When was the first time we ever saw this Hibagon?
Ooh, great. I'm glad you asked that question. I guess it would be 1970.
Yeah, the sightings began and were most prevalent in the 1970s. And when I was researching this, I came across two different claims of what the first story actually was. However, for sake of argument, and according to this master list, the first sighting was simply a group of elementary school students who were out picking some wild mushrooms in the forests of Mount Hiba when they were terrified by an ape-like creature crashing through the brush nearby. And I so desperately wanted more information. I wanted more details. I wanted, embellishment. Or not embellishment. I just wanted storytelling. But that's literally all there is. There's no additional information. It's just some kids were out picking mushrooms and they saw this thing and that was the start of it all.
Wow.
Crashed, fumbled, fell on its ass, got up and walked away. Into legend.
Yeah, I guess. Wow. I wonder if any of those children are still alive today.
Especially, it's just like, oh, hey, I mean, it's fun. It's crazy to think of, all right, kids, we're going to go on a little elementary school trip, maybe pick some mushrooms, learn about fauna, flora, and then, a hairy monkey crawls out, stumbles around, doesn't make a noise, and leaves. Well, back to class, kids.
Well.
It makes me think, we were just talking about a little bit of a tangent, but we love those here. I just saw Asteroid City, and that's the whole crux of the movie is kids seeing something weird. And then just like, well, what happens a week later?
Yeah.
Imagine the Hibagon just walks out awkwardly. Stares at them.
Yeah, I know. A Wes Anderson movie of the Hibagon
About
sightings.
Bigfoot, or even?
Picks up a mushroom and just leaves.
Oh my gosh.
Dude, it's prime.
That's
it's prime
great.
for this.
It's right there.
Like
That's great.
Isle of Dogs style.
Yeah.
Just that claymation style.
Isle of Bigfoots.
Someone get
Bigfoots.
Wes on the phone.
Wes. Oh, yeah, Wes Anderson. I don't know who I was thinking about.
The second sighting gets kind of muddled in online sources, I feel like, and I feel like this is a good time to talk about this book that we purchased for this episode because I'm going to read a little something from it here in just a second. But we mentioned him earlier. Eli brought him up. His name's Kyle Brink. He's kind of like the name and research for the Hibagon. He's the one who I believe has the most content out on it. I could be speaking out of turn, but
I'm pretty sure he is.
yeah, I think so too. But he's got a book that it's fairly recent, 2021. It's called Hibagon Japanese Bigfoot.
Second edition.
Second edition, yes. We have the
Ooh.
second edition. But I like the way that he puts this when he talks about the way that details can get muddled around when it comes to sightings. So I am just going to read it from here. And it'll kind of give us a little bit of information about this master list that I keep referencing. So he says, I wanted to make a master list of Hibagon sightings. I looked through books, newspaper articles, websites, etc. in English and Japanese. Maybe a dozen encounters came with identifying details. For the rest, you never knew if these were 5 different sightings or 5 garbled accounts of the same sighting. For example, A Saijo man saw the beast behind his house. A Saijo farmer saw the beast in his yard. A Saijo man saw the beast in a field. The beast was spotted in a garden behind the home of a family in Saijo. Another Saijo resident spied the beast from his kitchen window. 5 or 1? So...
Muddled facts in my cryptozoology? Unheard of.
Unheard of. Poor, improper documentation of sightings?
Crazy.
Who could have imagined?
Not in my cryptozoology world.
I know. But we do have the details on what is believed to be the second sighting.
Okay.
July 20th, 1970, there's 3 town employees from Saijo Yuki who are riding in the cab of this public utilities truck on Route 314. And they pull onto the road that runs past the Rokunohara Dam. I hope I said that right, because I said it with a lot of confidence. So they go west, and as they come around the bend at the head of the dam, they see a creature come out of the woods on the north side. So the driver stops. The creature crosses the road approximately 90 meters ahead of them, and it walks along the reservoir and along the river about 230 meters until the river narrows. Then it crosses the river and goes up into the woods on the south side, and they watch it until they lose it among the trees. And then when the creature's gone, they get out and they look around, and they actually do find some muddy footprints filled with water, as well as miscellaneous trees that were trampled. So then they got back in the truck and drove away to report the sighting. And they say that the creature walked erect on 2 legs and looked like a gorilla and was about the size of a calf.
That is interesting.
Yeah.
Is now the time to talk about Saijo?
Saijo, yeah, go for it.
Saijo is the town where most of these sightings occurred. It plays a very important role in the history of the Hibagon, which we'll get into in a little bit. But Saijo, see, I was confused about this because when you look up Saijo, it says Saijo Shobara. There's also references in the book and in online resources mentioning just Shobara, and I was like, I don't know what this means. Turns out, Saijo was once a little town, and then was conglomerized with a bunch of other little towns to form Shobara City. And so what I'm assuming is that Shobara itself was a large town, possibly the largest of the towns, and hence the whole place became known as Shobara.
Interesting.
So kind of like LA, when you think of it, LA is made up of a bunch of other little cities, but Los Angeles itself is also a city. But you also have North Hollywood, which is its own place, Burbank, which is its own place, Long Beach, which is its own place, but they're all under the Los Angeles greater area.
It's the Los Angeles prefecture.
Kind of. Because a prefecture, I guess, in closest terms, is a county, right? Or state.
Yeah, something like that. Just a way to divide the
Land.
geography, a way to separate places.
Sounds cool, too.
Yeah, prefecture. Whoa.
I hail from Los Angeles prefecture.
It does sound cooler.
From the small little dainty section of Burbank, you know?
Yeah.
Well, we're kind of at that point in talking about sightings. I wanted to get the first
Took me
2.
away.
Hey.
All right. We need to focus.
Well, so the Hibagon is one of those things that has multiple sightings. So this isn't like a one-time thing. This isn't like something that we can easily just nail down and talk about. It is a cryptid that has multiple sightings, and I don't think we're going to run through every single one today. So let's open the floor to talk about our favorites. Alex, any sightings you want to talk about?
Well, from what I can tell, thanks to the crypto wikis with a Z,
/ Cryptomundo, because that's where they got all their information.
Oh, yeah.
/ CryptoZoo News,
Yeah,
because
it's
it's
the
also
same
where
thing.
it posted.
Follow the trail. Figure out where it is. Because I have that they run from 1970 to 1982 for the run of sightings. But, I don't know, all of them are, more or less like someone's going about their day, they see a big monkey kind of walk around, and then that's it?
You're more or less correct.
It's the big crux of the site. Like, it's a very well-behaved Bigfoot.
Yeah.
Like, you know, they say in Japan it's a little more polite out there, a little more social construct of, you know, be your best person when you go out. And it's like, hey, it looks like the Hibagon's doing that too. He doesn't snarl, he doesn't throw rocks at someone, he's not bashing heads in and carrying the body away from into, like, the caves.
Oh, is he?
Or is he? Because so far I'm getting, this is the cute cuddly version of Bigfoot.
Well, that's what you'd think when you see all of the cartoons and caricatures and drawings of the Hibagon in Japan.
Yeah.
Yeah, because what's funny out in Japan is one thing they love is mascots.
Mm-hmm.
Like mascots within mascots. You go to any city or state or prefecture, and there's like a mascot for everything. There's the waterworks has a mascot. The town has a mascot. The snack company has a mascot. Even the Hibagon's got a mascot. And he's like cute and chibi with big eyes. And he's like waving. He's like, come on over.
And then upside down triangle head.
Yeah.
Well, I'll say in July of 1970 is when we get some of those really specific identifying traits of the Hibagon. July 23rd, 1970 is the first time that we get the description of intelligent eyes. This witness also described it as close to human. And then July 30th, 1970 is the first mention of the face being like an inverted triangle. It's the first mention of the descriptor bristles or bristly. And it's also the first mention of the swaying from side to side.
And if the mascot's anything to base off of, he has a bare butt, too.
Oh, yeah.
Got a booty.
Oh, yeah. I do want to make a note, though. The near human-like thing, I've been seeing that come up a lot with Bigfoot stuff, too.
And it also goes against what I said earlier about the Hibagon being more ape-like rather
Well, the thing is, what separates, like, Hibagon and Bigfoot from the other apes, it makes them more like us, is the fact that they have covered nostrils. When you think about gorillas, chimpanzees, they just have straight-up open noses. You can look straight up in there, see all them boogies.
Yeah. It's because I got big fingers.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it's surprising, like, if you've ever seen a picture of, like, someone will put a human-like nose on a chimpanzee or a gorilla, how much more human-like they look. So I think a lot of it has to boil down to what has to do with the nostrils, yeah. Because you don't see that on other apes. And especially not in the Japanese macaque, as we'll talk about later.
Yeah.
The no-nose monkey.
The no-nos. So, Hibagon eggs.
What?
Just kidding. We'll get there.
So I take issue with one of the first recorded tracks found, and I'll tell you why. So, December 16th, 1970, they find strange tracks of the alleged creature measuring 21 centimeters in length, found in the snow on Mount Hiba. This is near, it's behind a secluded lodge, secluded resort-style hotel, which is 1.8 miles west of Mount Hiba. And tell me, we talked about this off air, Eli and I did.
Okay.
How is a foot going to be 21 centimeters long but 22 centimeters wide? I don't see it.
Oh, is it like this long and this wide?
Yeah,
like
like
a
a
big
square.
elephant
Jasmine's
foot?
failing to report that it was in the snow, deformed by
by
snow, which, as we know, when the snow melts, things get bigger.
So is it only going to melt horizontally? Why is it not
might have
melting
melted
vertically?
It might have melted vertically too, but was it on a slope? We don't know.
We don't know.
Did it step into its track twice? I don't know.
Do they really have big wide feet? Like,
Do they have square feet?
yeah, maybe.
I don't know.
Like
it doesn't make any sense to me either. I'm
like
with
Gumby
you, but
feet or something.
there's a
But-
lot of other factors in play, and the unfortunate part, as we'll find with a lot of Hibagon stuff, is that there's no additional information. A lot of the details are missing. As they say, the devil's in the details. But when there's no details, you just have, it's 21 centimeters long and 22 centimeters wide.
Well, I will say there are other reports, too, of more proportionately appropriate tracks found as well. So, like 21 centimeters long, 16 centimeters wide, that kind of stuff. But I'm peeved by the first one.
It put a bad taste in your mouth for all Hibagon sightings.
You know what? I do have a favorite sighting, but unfortunately, I don't even know if it's real or not because I could not find additional information on it.
Tell me.
But it's the one that's supposedly from 1972, and it reports that the creature has a chocolate brown face, covered with brown hair, with deep glaring eyes. And there's names for this. It's Mr. Sazawa and Mrs. Harada. And
Oh, I thought was that the name of the people who saw?
yeah.
I thought that was like, oh, that's the name of the Hibagon.
Yeah, no, they
Yeah.
gave the Hibagon a name.
They gave him a name.
They gave him a name. No, that's the supposed witnesses who reported this. But what's so interesting about it is that apparently it took no hostile action and fled from 4 armed residents who were intent on hunting it. And I didn't find any more information about this hunt or a hunt at all.
Yeah, I've never heard of that.
Yeah.
I think you're just making it up.
Yeah, I made it up.
Well, what's funny is that gives it. It's not much, but it gives a little bit of context of because the first paragraph of the Cryptid wikis with a Z, which is from Cryptomondo, run through an AI program, I'm sure. Hibagon, Japanese version of North America's Bigfoot, said to live on Mount Hiba in the Hiroshima prefecture. Not much is known about it, but some say it's a quiet beast that is said to have run from 4 armed residents, then hunt them. I was like, what the hell does that mean? That's like a garbled, what Jasmine just said, of him being chased by 4 armed residents. Because I was reading this like, what? He runs from 4 armed people? Where are the 4 armed people in this?
Yeah, we need an episode of the 4 armed people.
Boy.
And then it ends the first paragraph with, like all hominoids, they have a unique stench that's said to smell like decomposing. So it's like he's nice and quiet, but he smells like hell.
Well, this is the one that intrigued my interest, and it's twofold. We're jumping ahead to 1972. Kobe University conducted an investigation of the area. And Kobe University, according to Kyle Brink's book, I have no idea how to verify this, but apparently their equivalent would be like Columbia University here in the States. So fairly highly regarded. Mm-hmm. They investigated the situation. They did not find any evidence, but they did come away saying that there was something to it, that the Hibagon, whatever it was indeed real. However, the same year, during the Kobe University investigation, the police managed to cast plaster tracks of the Hibagon found at a construction site. And there's no further details on that, except for the fact that they are on display. The casts are on display at the police department. And you can go and look at them, and they have 5 toes.
One of those casts is potentially at the train station now. I think that's what Kyle Brinks was talking about in one
Where
of
are
his
the photos? Can someone take a photo of that?
Yeah.
And send it to us.
I think they're in there's a clip in the video that Kyle Brinks just posted.
Oh.
He's at the train station. He says that the police chief loaned it out to the train station to put on display there.
Oh.
I'm pretty sure.
I like the casualness of
Yeah.
the police go out, they make plaster castings of this, strange foot of a strange creature, and they're like, well, we don't know what this is, but if you want to come look at it, swing on by.
Yeah.
Okay, I would love to. And then they're like, oh, also, we loaned it to the train station just because, we're trying to drive tourism here. It's a casualness.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, the tourism thing, that plays a part in it, and just going back to, the casualness, yes, but also there's a seriousness to it, because there was a whole dang task force put together to try and track this thing and, keep note of its appearances and things like that. Mr. Eggy.
Oh, but he wasn't a task force.
No, but he was involved, and other people were involved, and it was a whole operation.
Oh, I was hoping
Was
they got,
it?
the SWAT team together.
That's the way you made it sound. I was like, when?
So then they rolled out, the 10 best of the best of the best, sir.
Yeah.
They had their armors. It says Hibagon Kill Force on it. They're being dropped into the forest with night vision goggles.
No, it's not that serious, but it was serious enough that, the government really did get involved, is all I'm trying to say.
The local government got involved.
Yeah.
The local government. Let's see. Office of the Ape Clerk started. That's what
Office of the Ape Clerk?
That's what it became. Office of the Ape Clerk, singular, started in April 1971. Mm-hmm. So, Saijo Yuki Town Hall created the Office of the Ape Clerk. And the duties were to include as the following. 1. Information collection and recording. Upon receiving the news of sightings or finding of footprints, the ape clerk will rush to the site to collect information and record witness statements. In some cases, a detailed examination of the area will result in the discovery of more footprints by the ape clerk himself. 2. Media support. The ape clerk will respond to the media and supply local information. 3. Inquiry window. The ape clerk will take written inquiries and telephone calls from all over the country. 4. Survey team assistance. The Office of the Ape Clerk will help organize, and in some cases subsidize, university expeditions, and survey teams from all over Japan. And 5, a nuisance fee payment. The ape clerk will pay nuisance fees up to 5,000 yen to local witnesses with good claims that their work, income, routine, quality of life, privacy, property, or other important concerns have been hurt by media attention or trespassers, etc. 5,000 yen, by the way, is like $48.
Yeah.
So it's not that much.
I looked it up because that number came from a news article that's
Right.
available. But when I Googled it, it said it was only $33.
What's
Well,
the inflation?
Yeah.
Due to inflation or
Back because
whatever.
this is what 75.
That's true.
Yeah,
That's true.
the dollar stretched more back then.
Yeah. You get more for your
Yeah.
yen.
But this
Yeah.
nuisance fee was a thing because the media really was hounding the residents who said that they'd witnessed a beast. I mean, reporters were knocking on doors at night, trespassing on fields, interfering with farm work. And so the townsfolk were getting really upset about the intense and constant national attention on the town. And they called it Hibagon fever. It was rising. It was a whole thing. So
Hibagon fever sweeping the nation.
yeah, but the guy in this role, his name's Katsuyuki Egi. His last name's Egi.
What's his middle name? Bacon?
Oh, jeez. I don't know.
Aggies and bakies.
But he was in charge of tax services and then got this role of the ape clerk.
Imagine.
It's quite a career shift.
Yeah, dude. They're just like, yeah, let's just get the tax guy.
Yeah.
Let's just make him do all this ape clerk business.
Yeah.
It's like, okay.
Let's get the guy from H&R Block to investigate.
Yeah, dude. Yeah, that's what it would be like. Like, or my accountant, Crazy Dave,
Yeah.
who wears tiger print shirts. Yeah.
But this is why we have this master list that I've been referencing now. So by October of 1974, the town office had received 29 reports involving 34 witnesses about the Hibagon appearing in the wild. And so they released a pamphlet, or they published a pamphlet from Saijo Yuki Town Hall. It was called Chasing the Phantom Monster of Mount Hiba. It was put out jointly by the Saijo Yuki Town Hall Promotion Division and its Office of the Ape Clerk, aka Mr. Egi. And the last sighting in the pamphlet is from August 15th of 1974, and then the office was closed in March of 1975, which is what you referenced earlier. And the town officially declared that Hibagon fever is over in June of 1975. However, that was not the end of things happening.
Oh.
And that's also not even the end of the sightings, because I feel like there's more sightings we should talk
It goes
about.
into the 80s, right?
Well,
Early
it does, but in 1974 is where we get one of very few photos of a blob squatch.
80s.
Well, you gotta tell the story.
Yeah.
It's cool.
Tell
it's
it.
a cool story.
Tell it.
Tell the people what they want to hear.
Tell it. Go.
Well, I have the basic details, but a motorist spotted a large blackish animal walking near the road on 4 legs and was like, oh man, what's that? And as the creature heard the car approaching, it stood up on 2 legs and then ran behind a tree. A persimmon tree.
There you
I
go.
don't see a tree.
Persimmon.
I don't. Stop! I don't even know. A persimmon
Persimmon?
tree?
Simmon.
Sermons.
For sermons.
Persimmon. It's okay. You can say
Persimmon.
persimmon however you want to.
Persimmon tree, and the driver stopped. Well, kind of. I don't know if he got out of his car, but he tried to snap a photo of this thing hiding behind the tree, and you can't really make out anything there, but maybe it's a photographic evidence.
Yeah, of a poor creature hiding behind a tree, right? For its
Freaking
life.
out, man. Yeah.
Imagine if, like, we finally have proof. We have proof of Bigfoot. And it's like a picture of a Bigfoot crying behind a tree.
Yeah. Dude,
It's
yeah.
like horrified and scared for its life.
So that's what I got.
I want to get this is a tangent, but I want to get a badge that says Ape Clerk.
Oh, that would be kind of
That would be a great one.
The
Ape Clerk, ma'am. Just the facts.
Just the ape clerk.
It did drop off around 1975, but then something weird happened in the 80s where it was seen again, but in a different area.
Oh, it moved?
A little bit.
In Mitsugi,
And in...
Yamano.
Yeah. Yeah. That's the
Estimated
one.
2 meters tall, reportedly holding a stone tool or axe.
Oh.
Mhm.
Are these far away from Hiba?
Not that far. So Yamano is about 30 miles southeast of Mount Hiba. And then Mitsugi, which is where the one with the axe was seen, that one is about 18 miles west.
Wait.
But yes, these areas are all connected by a dense forest, so it is possible that there could have been traveling happening.
Is it still pretty consistent in the other areas where it's like 5 foot tall?
No, it was taller.
Oh.
Yeah, so 5 feet is only slightly though, because like 5 feet, the reports are like 1.6 meters is how tall. The one spotted here is 2 meters tall, so it's slightly over 6 feet.
6.5.
6.5 feet? Oh, that's big.
That's a big monkey.
That's patty sized. So it's not like that much bigger, I feel like, in the grand scheme of things,
Yeah.
but it's like
No.
a person could be 5 foot tall and then another person is, shack sized. So,
Shaq is something else, man.
but we're all humans.
You ever seen him hold a water bottle?
Yeah, I have.
Yeah.
Weird.
Seen him fight Godzilla one time, too.
Yeah?
Yeah. There's like a commercial, I think, in the 90s where it's Shaq doing basketball with Godzilla.
No.
Yeah. But we didn't talk about the fun name that it got. It's being seen in Yamato. It's now the Yamagon.
Yamagon.
Yamagachi.
Oh,
Tamagotchi.
He evolved, just like a Pokemon.
Yeah,
Mhm.
now he's bigger.
Your Hibagon's evolving. What's this? It turned into Yamagon.
Yeah.
And it can hold weapons now, too. Run for your life.
Yeah.
Now, Kyle Brink is of the opinion that even though sightings supposedly stopped in 1982, he just thinks that they've stopped being reported. He believes that people are still out there seeing it. He's finding things like butt prints.
Whoa.
Yes.
This is a very recent YouTube video that Kyle Brinks put out on his YouTube channel, Brinks Books, and it was so interesting because the title is something very clearly related to the Hibagon, but then the first 3 minutes is just pictures of things that look like butts and him like doing spoken word or reading some rap lyrics about butts.
Jasmine shoved the headphone in my ear, and the first thing I hear is, I've been thinking about butts a lot lately. Lots of songs about butts. And I'm like, what is going on? Like,
It was very confusing, but it was also very funny. And then he eventually does get to the point that there was a butt print found. Where? I don't know. When? I don't know. He doesn't give that information in the video. It might be in one of his previous videos, but I only watched the most recent one. And in it, he just talks about his process of trying to figure out how tall the being that left the butt print might have been, and he did so by measuring his own butt print and then doing calculations and proportions with all of that information.
Wow.
Yeah.
So it opens with him just like, I like big butts, and I cannot lie. You other cryptozoologists cannot deny.
yeah.
When a Bigfoot walks in, mini waist.
But in his calculations, I don't really know what his... According to his calculations, whatever left that butt print would have been about 10 feet tall.
Oh.
And so he didn't really state about whether he believes that's true or anything like that. There was like no opinion given on that. He just was sort of like presenting the facts that if he compares his butt print to his height, then the butt print of this thing would have been like 10 feet tall.
Well, that's not necessarily true. He does provide that it does actually line up with particular sighting.
That's true. You're
So
right.
He basically, if anything, he
Is proving?
proving that this thing is 10 feet tall based on a previous report, which I'm trying to find.
This is a perfect segue into some of our like folklore stuff. You're going to want to go to page 36 for what you're looking for, Eli.
How did you... Alright.
Because I took note.
Okay. Yes, okay. So, Kyle Brink, in his lovely book, Hibagon, Japanese Bigfoot, 2nd edition,
I think I've been saying Brinks accidentally.
It's Kyle Brink.
Brink.
Oh.
No S.
Brink. It's
Brinks sounds cooler. Always add an S.
Well, he leads his chapter 5 off with the idea that the Hibagon was called the Hibagon because it's the monster of Mount Hiba, because that rash of sightings in the 70s and then into the early 80s. Just like how the name transformed into Yamagon once it started being seen around Yamano. And so, he was talking about before, like, the word Bigfoot became a thing, before Sasquatch was widely used, people used to call Bigfoot, these creatures, all sorts of different things. There's like a million different names for these things. Because everyone spoke different languages, different dialects, and just sometimes if they spoke the same language, just called them different things.
Mm-hmm.
Like a cougar, or a puma, or a catamount. Those are all English terms for the same exact animal.
Uh-huh.
But, so, in the older Japan traditions, you have things like the Enko, which is from the Hiroshima prefecture, which were described as hairy monsters resembling large monkeys. You have the Kakusaru, or literally translates to black monkeys, that live in the mountains, and they kidnap human women and reproduce with them. And we might get into that later. But the one we want to talk about in reference to Kyle Brink's butt story is called the Kurote, which is a black hand. And so this was the proper name given to a specific individual monster from the 16th century, which the story takes place in the Ishikawa prefecture. And it was the wife of a guy named Kasumatsu Jingobe who was going to the toilet. And so this wasn't just a regular toilet. This was like a trapdoor toilet. Their house was elevated, and they pooped through the hole in the ground, through the trapdoor, and then into the river below.
Sanitary.
Yeah, well, I mean, it goes into the river, and the river washes it away. So.
Yeah.
And then, apparently, she was straddling the toilet, and from underneath the house, a hand reached up and groped her, and she screamed, and her husband, Jingobe, grabbed his sword, ran in, and cut the monster's hand off. And then the monster ran away, and it was described as monkey-like, hairy all over, in 9 shaku in height, which is just over, or barely, almost 9 feet tall. So 9 feet tall, 10 feet tall, that isn't much of a difference. So there is a kind of historical precedent. It's a precedent. Yeah, and the myths go further, my friend. Shall we go? Is this the route we're going? Mm-hmm. Well, I want to go back to the Kakusaru, which lives in the mountains, because this one has an interesting... A Japanese encyclopedia from 1712 references this and talks about it and describes it as a big black monkey with long hair and standing and walking. He understands the human language and reads the human mind. So even if a person tries to kill the Kakusaru escapes quickly and can never be caught. Which reminds me a lot of old Bigfoot stories in terms of like mind speak.
Yeah.
A lot of Native Americans believe that they can read your mind, that they know what you're going to do, they know your intentions and stuff like that.
Sixth sense.
Yeah, and even some of the stories of these creatures procreating with women, kidnapping women for that reason, it kind of reminiscent of some of the older Sasquatch stories, pre-Columbian Sasquatch stories. So
I was Bigfoot's wife on the National Enquirer.
Yeah. Well, yeah. Like that, but a little more credible. There's also the Satori, which is ape-like monsters in the mountains of Gifu Prefecture, and the Ikemono, foreign hairy beast. They are larger than humans, covered in long hair, and look like monkeys. And they all pretty much live in the mountains, sometimes kill and eat people for funsies.
That's what they do.
The polite Bigfoot.
Very.
Yeah.
That's so crazy to me. Just that legend of like something like a hand coming through the toilet, like a Bigfoot hand.
Yeah.
Just because this is a very random tangent, but I wonder if this is where it came from. Do you guys know Legend of Zelda?
I know of it. I'm not familiar with anything about the story or
Is
anything.
there a
like
hand that comes out of a toilet?
Yeah.
Oh.
In one of the games. It's Majora's Mask from the distant year of 2000
Mm.
for the Nintendo 64. And there's a part where it's not a monster, but you go into an inn and they have like the kind of old school toilets that look like a wooden stall that you sit on.
Mm-hmm.
And when you go up to it, a hand comes out. And it's a person who's been trapped down there, and you actually help them with a quest because they're looking for something. But I'm wondering if that idea of like a hand coming out of an old-timey toilet is like from the mythology of Japan, because it's kind of I'm like, oh, that's a really crazy image to see.
Yeah.
Yeah, that is strange.
And they got cut off, and it's like they're psychic, but not enough to know when their hand's gonna get cut off.
But there's also another name that Kyle Brink supposes for these creatures. Can anyone guess?
Pokemon?
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, you're right. In fact, all Pokemon take the form of different Hibagons.
I was a Pokeboy for this conversation, but I grew into a Pokemon.
Yeah, Charizard. That's a Hibagon.
Dude,
Pikachu.
I like when the town hall printed out papers that said the Phantom Monster of Mountain Hiba.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. It's actually the Oni.
Oh! Yeah, that makes sense.
Does it?
Yeah.
Why?
What do you know about the Oni?
Onis, they're like 10-foot tall, giant demon creatures that are usually red or blue, and they have either one or two horns that spout out of their head, and they're said to live in the mountains. Sometimes they actually crawl out from the depths of hell, drag people, eat them,
Demons.
saw them in half.
Mm-hmm.
And they usually wear leopard skin cloths because they're so big. So they're like big giant. They're like 10 to 12 feet tall in myths and legends, and they're said to just grab people, bite their heads off, toss people around.
So is Oni like a general term, or is that a specific being?
Well, as Kyle Brink mentions, Oni is usually translated as devil. So, a
Demon.
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 Bigfoot's a demon.
Oh, it's interdimensional demon.
Yeah, but he mentions that the word itself comes from the root to hide or to conceal, if you're breaking down the etymology of the word. And so he draws comparisons between Oni and Bigfoot, and that they are gigantic humanoid creatures. They're fearsome, covered in long hair. They have hands, not paws. They live in the wilderness. They have superhuman strength and stamina, intelligent and cunning. They mimic animals, sometimes humans. They smell bad. They're mischievous or outright evil. They abduct people, they eat people, and they carry a wooden club.
Interesting.
And then he mentions this. What does the Oni not share with Bigfoot? It's interesting that he notes that these are all later representations. Not the earlier forms of the Oni, but later, more modern representations of the Oni have horns and fangs. They come in vibrant colors like red or blue. They carry a spiked kanabo or an iron war club used by samurai, and also wear a loincloth. Apparently, the more earlier forms of Oni did not do those things.
Just free balling everywhere.
Just free balling. Yeah. So, and what's also interesting is he does mention the work of David Paulides in terms of the comparison between, like, Devil's Creek, Devil's Peak being areas with higher Sasquatch reports, and Japan kind of has something similar with Oni Mountain, Oni's Cutting Board, Oni's Toilet. So
A little more scatological.
yeah, but I mean, Oni is like spread out across all of Japan, and not only that, it's what I find interesting is that he makes it a big point to point out that the Oni exists in the different religions of Japan, so it's not like a religious thing. Like, even though it could mean devil or demon, it's not specifically to one religion, which makes you wonder if that's based on a real thing, right? Because if you're supposing that a religion, like a demon, is subject to one's own personal beliefs, you wouldn't have it cross-religion, cross-cultural almost, you know?
Mm-hmm.
So that's where he's kind of going with that.
That is kind of wild to think, like, it does put a new spin on Bigfoot, too, of, like, you know, what if they really are just giant devils that are in the forest?
Yeah.
That's such a crazy, like, little I don't know, convergence in a way that I'm like, that does kind of line up in weird ways.
It does, yeah. It is intriguing. So, that's when he gets into missing people reports.
Did you have any idea we were going to talk about missing 411 cases today?
I had no idea.
Yeah, he puts together a fairly convincing argument because we'll talk about this. There's according to the National Police Agency in Japan, they have their list of missing persons cases, of which there are, as of 2021, there was 336 people on that list in all of Japan. And they're broken down by prefecture, so you have, I'm going to go by order of least population to the most, which is Okayama, with 1.9 million people, has one case of a missing person.
Whoa.
You have Hiroshima Prefecture with 2.8 million people that has 26 cases of missing people. And the real kicker for me was Tokyo. The Tokyo Prefecture has 13.9 million people with 0 cases of missing people.
Crazy.
Everyone knows where everyone is.
Everyone knows where everyone is. But Hiroshima Prefecture, as we've been talking about this entire time, has Mount Hiba on it. And 2 of the specific cases of the missing people, 2 of the 26, specifically went missing on Mount Hiba without a trace, completely vanished. So, I don't know. That's pretty wild to me.
Something sus is happening out there.
Yeah, and he makes a fair point, because I'm first to be like, well, something natural happened. Because people go missing in the woods all the time.
It's not that hard to do, actually.
It's not. It's not.
Mm-hmm.
But
especially when in the USA, 47% remains unoccupied.
yeah, think about that for a second. The 47% of the United States is uninhabited.
Mm-hmm.
That's almost half the country.
Whoa.
This is a ginormous country. So it turns out that the areas with ancient legends, ancient stories of Hibagon or Hibagon-like creatures have the highest rates of missing people. Tokyo has no history of Hibagon legends at all, and they have 0 missing persons cases. They're also, super advanced, and it's a city, so no Hibagon strolling through downtown.
Hey, bro, look, it's the Hibagon.
It's interesting to me that the other thing too, people getting eaten by bears, because Japan has bears. They have hogs, which hogs kill a lot of people.
Dude, hogs are scary.
I know,
they
I
are.
feel like we talked about this recently. I don't remember what we were talking about, but you informed me of how hogs are actually dangerous. Oh, yeah, that makes sense. Duh.
Yeah.
Why were we talking about hogs? Oh, I don't know. Maybe the Pigman episode we did.
Yeah, hogs are scary. They're really intense.
But, people slipping and falling, bumping their head. But the point he makes is that these are like people who have completely vanished and there's no trace of them.
Mm-hmm.
And so the idea that, like, if a bear kills you, it's going to drag you away. And so tracking dogs would be able to follow your scent, or there would be a trail of blood, A hog is not going to eat you. It will kill you and then just leave you there. So, like, the fact that there's no bodies, no trace, nothing, there's no trail to follow is almost insinuating that something, like, picked them up and took them away.
Mm-hmm.
And he mentions that the crime rates in Tokyo are much higher than out there in the Hiroshima Prefecture, which would make sense because it's more rural and whatnot. But that's interesting.
Yeah.
That it just vanished. And so he says he's going to follow it up with another book.
Couple books.
Hibagon 2. Hibagon harder.
Yeah. It's cool. I don't know. I'm fairly convinced.
The last few times we've been talking about some fun stuff, but it always winds down to just like, oh, the pig man, yeah, whatever, oh, the so and so, whatever. But here it's like, oh, it's actually kind of interesting, and there's actual things that are lining up in weird ways. And actual facts in my cryptozoology. I feel alive.
Yeah.
Well, there's supposed photographic evidence of a dead one as well.
Really?
Yeah, which location and time of photo is unknown. But it was released in 2017 on the Fuji TV network. And so you can look that up online. It's also in this book that we have right here. But it's 2 different photos that show what appears to be a decomposing large primate with dark hair and exposed skull in large proportions. One of the photos is like a wide shot of the thing laying on the ground with like a farmer crouched over it, kind of looking at it. And then the other photo is a close-up on the face, which, interestingly, the skull, like the face itself, is completely like clean and bare. Like it's bone. It's just bone. But then around it is hair. It's still got hair. And so there's debate about the legitimacy of these photos. It can't be
gotta see this.
tracked down or anything like that.
Flip to the next page for the second one.
So people have looked at this photo and everybody has different opinions about it. But of course, nothing can be said for sure because we don't know when the photos were taken, by who the photos were taken, or even why suddenly in 2017 they were released or anything like that.
Especially on like the Fuji TV network, just like, hey,
Yeah.
hey everyone, welcome to the morning news. Check
Yeah.
out these dead primate photos.
There have been people who have said like the bone is real, but
The
like
hair
the
is
hair the hair can't be, because like why would the face be completely clean of any flesh or hair, but then everything else around it?
Mm-hmm.
Well, he talks about that in the book, actually, about an experiment they did on a bear, where they had a bear
Oh.
body, and they were testing it to just, I think they took a photo every single day for 3 months as the bear body decomposed, and what they found out is that the bear's bones became bleached and white, but the fur itself was still attached at certain points of the body. And so if you're thinking about a Hibagon, and a lot of times if it's like Bigfoot or like some of the reports, there's no hair on the face,
Mm-hmm.
it's just flesh, that would decompose along with everything else inside of it. And possibly if, you know, the decomposition stories to be believed, then the hair would still be there. It's still partially attached in some parts.
That's wild.
Kyle wants to go find the cadaver. He believes it's buried out there somewhere, and he wants to go find it. He thinks it's probably marked with some sort of gravestone or offering or something like that. And he has full intentions of digging it up,
Desecrating
claiming
that
it,
grave and
finding
dig
it.
that body up. Check the pungoides on it.
In addition to wanting to find a live one, he has both of those intentions to recover the decomposing cadaver, which... Good luck, man. He is good at metal detecting, though.
Oh, is
so
he?
he's got that skill under his belt. Yeah.
But metal detecting, there's no metal in bones.
There's not. He just has faith in his own skill.
All right.
He's gonna find it. I hope he does. I hope he does.
That would be really cool.
That would be crazy.
That would be wild.
You know.
I mean, it's crazy just to think that just an actual photo of like a dead specimen, because like we don't really get those that much with Bigfoot that look good, whereas that looks somewhat decent.
Mm-hmm.
Like the hair, we're not sure about decomposition, but it looks a little more like legit than I've seen of like the monkey suit with the guts dumped on it in a freezer.
Yeah.
Oh,
You know.
gosh. Yeah. There is. He includes.
That was debunked, but yeah.
He includes a photo of another supposed dead Bigfoot, but some people think it looks like a mountain lion. Some
think it
people
looks
being
like
Eli.
Oh yeah,
Well,
some
you
people.
mentioned that it's a mountain lion, in my opinion, but I don't know. I don't know how true the story is around it. For the people listening, I guess in the YouTube video, I will try to put these photographs in there.
Oh, okay.
So you guys can see them and check them out and be like, yay or nay.
Yeah, I mean, it'd be crazy just to think like, especially if it's like the Fuji TV network ran the pictures like randomly of like, could you imagine if like ABC this morning news is like, hey, check this out, we got dead Bigfoots. It's such a funny place to put it.
Nowadays, I wouldn't put it past him. I mean, there's been a lot of alien stuff in the news.
Oh, has there?
recently. Yeah, I mean, not like super recently. I wouldn't be able to ramble it off, but it's not so taboo anymore. I mean, they talk about it very tongue-in-cheek, and, you know, it's not reported as seriously as other world events or anything like that, but it does get the airtime. So I wouldn't put it past a major news network to run photos of a supposed dead Sasquatch.
Well, I mean, look at how much attention that last Colorado Bigfoot hoax got, where they filmed it from the train or whatever. Yeah. And it came out that was a hoax.
I wouldn't even... hoax is like a negative word. It wasn't really a hoax. It was a...
publicity.
Yeah,
kind of
publicity stunt.
For a local, I think they make mountain gear, like hiking gear. And
Oh, really?
Yeah, they have a Sasquatch suit, and apparently one of their employees dresses up like Sasquatch and walks around. And they walked up that hill and just happened to be spotted by
The train.
the train and stuff, and get filmed. And it made the rounds.
Yep.
It was crazy. People were texting me about it. I was like, it's fake.
People were texting me about it.
Really?
Oh,
Yeah,
really?
Yeah.
That's so funny.
My friend Rob specifically, I think, sent me a DM on Instagram and was like, "What do you think about this? It's really throwing me for one." And I was like,
Yeah.
"Actually," and I sent him the article about it being a publicity stunt. And he was like, "Thank you. I knew you'd know."
Yeah. So there is a reported video of a Hibagon, which Jasmine and I watched of it. It's standing there, big black figure covered in hair, and it's splashing water
Splashing around in the water.
But it looks like a person in a suit. That's what I'm going with. There's like no backstory for the video.
Yeah, but the video there is people speaking in the video, and they're speaking Japanese. So that's why it's claimed to be a Hibagon video versus just any other Bigfoot or Sasquatch.
It would be funny if it was like Japanese tourists, like in America, that caught a Bigfoot.
That would be funny. Strange, ironic coincidence
Dude,
there.
could you imagine? Yeah, but do we want to get into some of the theories of what a Hibagon might be?
I think so.
Let's see.
Japanese macaque.
Yeah. Elaborate.
Macaque. I like saying that word. It's fun. This is what I came across. The Japanese macaque would match the bipedal, bounding, and quadrupedal gaits that are reported with the Hibagon sightings. However, and this is for me a big however, it does not match the color or the size.
Yeah.
Too small.
It's too small, and it's like a light brown.
Yeah.
It's like not
Yeah.
black or reddish brown.
It says the average height for a macaque is 22.5 inches.
Yep, that's just under 2 feet.
Yeah.
The far cry from. I don't think anyone's gonna see something 2 feet tall and be like, it was 2 meters tall.
Well, that's the thing too, is we've talked about before how unreliable an eyewitness can be. Not because they're trying to deceive anybody, not because they have ill intentions, it's just because it's a natural thing. Our eyes play tricks on us. We don't have an accurate estimation of certain things, but that's a big gap. Like
That would be a huge
That's
gap,
a
yeah.
big gap to see something 2 feet tall and claim it was 5 feet, 6 feet, 7 feet and up.
Yeah.
Or whatever. Because, like, you can look at a person and, like, try to estimate, from afar, oh, they're 7 feet tall. When they're actually not that tall, you're just kind of short. And so
Yeah,
a 6 foot tall person looks 7 feet tall.
but it's like seeing a macaque. I guess it would be like someone misunderstanding if they saw a raccoon and were like, it was a 6 foot tall raccoon. Like, no one would believe you.
Mm-hmm.
People are like, raccoons don't get that big.
Also, aren't macaques so they're all
yeah.
over the place that, like, it doesn't make sense for a local to misidentify one.
They're the hot spring monkeys.
Are they?
Yeah. The little monkeys that hang out in the hot springs.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
These guys are awesome. Yeah. Oh my god, I can see Bigfoot. He's right there.
Yeah.
He's right there.
I mean, I'll be honest, if I came across any sort of monkey or ape in the wild, I'd be kind of scared.
Really?
Yeah.
I would be kind of excited.
I know you would.
I think it depends. Like, if it's a chimpanzee, I'd get the hell out of there because chimpanzees
Yeah.
scare the crap out of me.
Yeah.
But a gorilla, I don't know. Unless it's a silverback male, I think they're usually kind of chill unless you start acting a fool.
Yeah.
But if it was like a little tiny, like those little tiny monkeys, they're like this tall that scramble around. Come here, you little monkey. You're mine now. You're my monkey.
Yeah. I don't know. I guess it depends on the context, but I know.
You're by yourself in your field.
Oh, in my field?
Yeah, in Japan.
And I came across like a gorilla,
Yeah.
I would be freaking out.
Exactly.
I guess. But once at the San Diego Zoo, me and my dad were there. My dad's favorites are the gorillas, and we were there, and the silverback that they have was actually walking in front of the glass wall, like right next to it. So it was like right. I mean, you're standing a foot away from a silverback gorilla, and man, that thing is huge. Like,
Yeah.
I mean, they're not tall, they're not as tall as I am, but they're just, the thing is just pure muscle.
Yeah.
And you're just like, dude, this thing could F me up if it really wanted to. I would have no chance.
I have a friend who they used to work around the LA Zoo
Okay.
by Burbank.
Yeah, where we took photos one time.
Mm.
Well, that was the old abandoned
one. There's
LA
the-
Zoo, but the new
the
current
new
day
one,
one
yeah.
is close to that.
There's the old one, which we took some photos. That place is cool. And then there's a new one, and my friend, they volunteered there every so often, and so they have a system there for monkeys. I think mostly the gorillas, the enclosure. If it's ever really quiet at the zoo and you hear like off in the distance, that's the sound that means the enclosure's working. And everything's fine. If it's ever quiet and you don't hear that, you need to run because it means the gorillas got out.
Dang.
Oh, crap.
Well, there was a rumor that there was an escaped gorilla around the time of these sightings from a zoo, but it was 90 kilometers from Saijo.
Oh.
So, gorilla is also a proposed theory. of
You took the
what-
bullet train out
Yeah.
to Hiba.
Well, I feel like we should talk about the gorilla thing because I didn't know this, but a gorilla troop consists of, on average, around 9 individuals. And they need, 8 square miles of space. That's their kind of home territory. And so I was thinking about that in regards to the Sasquatch and or the Hibagon. In terms of gorillas, actually, fun fact, orangutans require more space than that. More than 8 square miles. And it would be like the same amount of individuals, like 9. That I think an orangutan's home range is like 20 square miles or something crazy like that. So just think about that. In 8 square miles, you have 9 gorillas. 8 square miles. People, I don't think, understand how big that actually is, but it's a huge swath of land. And you're talking about dense forest, and apes tend to like slopes. They like little valleys and canyons and stuff like that. Not stuff that we particularly like to go into. So you're talking about rugged terrain, which does not bother them at all. And you're talking about 8 square miles. If someone said, all right, there's 9 gorillas in 8 square miles here, go look for them. You're never going to find them, especially because they're probably going to hear you before you ever get close to them.
Mm-hmm.
Because we make a lot of noise. And animals in the forest are consciously aware of other animals in the area. So it's just like, if Bigfoot is at all like an orangutan or even a gorilla, and they have a small group, like the Olympic Project, when they found the nest sites back in 2015, I think it was, they found 7 nests, 7 individuals. And let's just say an 8 square mile radius. You're looking for 7 Bigfoots in 8 square miles in canyons, in forests, in creeks. You're never going to find it.
Yeah,
You're
yeah.
never going to find them. And if they die out there, it's not like you're going to stumble across its body,
Mm-hmm. Especially like it's very rare that one will just drop dead like in the middle of an open space. Like,
Yeah.
Because they say animals sometimes have that sixth sense of like they know that their time's near, so they'll go and hide somewhere.
Mm-hmm.
So they go in a cave, they go in the brushes, and it's just like they don't want their body found.
Yeah, they don't.
So it's kind of crazy.
Yeah, they'll straight up hide themselves and then go die. Yeah, so anyways. Could it be an Asiatic black bear? The Japanese Bigfoot, the Hibagon. Is it a black bear?
Well, it does match the color. It's got that white patch on its chest.
Which is interesting. After reading the master list, I don't think we came across that detail at all.
I don't remember.
They always meant, from what the descriptions were saying, they describe it as having black fur but white hands and white feet, but no white on the chest or like anywhere else noticeable.
I'd have to give the list another skim. Bears can walk bipedally for short amounts of time as well, and it does have the long face described in some reports.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Hibagon walks into a bar, and the bartender goes, "Why the long face?"
Hey, buddy, why the upside down triangle face?
Yeah, I know. Could it be Yajin or feral humans? In my opinion, no.
No.
Because feral humans are still humans. They don't tend to grow hair all over their body.
Yeah. It's like they talk about like, the crazy wild men out in the forest and they're covered in fur from their face down to their whole. It's like, I don't really. doesn't quite happen like that for humans.
What if it's not necessarily fur exactly? What if it's camouflage of some kind? Because what if they're World War II soldiers who deserted the war and were off in hiding for various reasons?
And they think the war is still going
Yeah,
on.
they think it's still going on, or they didn't want to accept the fact of the loss or anything like that. Because that is something that happens. The media has reported cases of World War II soldiers who deserted the Imperial Japanese Armed Forces and went into hiding in the jungles of the Southeast Asia region. 2005, the media reported that 2 of them, in their 80s, emerged from the Philippines jungle after hiding for 60 years to avoid the war.
60
60
years?
years they'd been hiding in the forest after the U.S. forces destroyed their military units in battles in the 40s.
They weren't hiding, but that is a plot of Kong Skull Island having World War II soldiers sectioned off from the rest of the world.
Yeah.
They didn't know the war was over, and it wasn't the first time it happened. But even with that, I mean, you can make the argument that, oh, they were in camouflage and they were, coming across local people during those years, and, but I don't know. I don't think that's a very weight-bearing theory.
No, I don't think so either. That's a lot of seeing a person in camouflage and then being like, oh, it's got an upside-down triangle head and intelligent eyes and was walking on all fours and hid behind a persimmon tree. I don't know. I just don't think that's
Yeah.
plausible.
That's the scruffy little man. But it is crazy that's a real thing of just people who are soldiers of war, and then for whatever reason they get sectioned off and they just start living their life. It's like, well, the war's still going on out there, but I'm like I'm a mountain man.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then you have the Hibagon eggs.
All right,
What
yeah.
are those?
What are these eggs you've been
The
talking about?
Japanese sweet bean cakes.
Yeah.
That's just a popular culture.
Oh,
reference.
that's what they call it. That's so funny.
Yeah.
Hibagon eggs.
Yeah.
When I came across that, I was like, but mammals don't lay eggs unless you're counting a platypus. But
Hey man, don't ruin the fun.
and then
Well-
it was like, oh, it's a Japanese sweet bean cake, and I was like, oh, I get it.
Yeah. Oh, we should make our own some kind of dessert, like a fun fluffy cookie that's called Bigfoot eggs.
No, we have Bigfoot poop.
Bigfoot,
That's what we get.
Huh?
Bigfoot balls.
Bigfoot balls.
I've literally had Bigfoot poop snacks. I think it was cotton candy.
God, I hope so.
Yeah.
And then I think if we're talking about pop culture, do you have anything to throw in? Because I think the Hibagon showed up on an episode of Lost Tapes.
Yeah, I did.
Yeah? Did you watch it?
No, but
I haven't seen it either.
here's how I found out it was on Lost Tapes. It's not mentioned anywhere. I have a few pop culture things I can throw out, but funnily enough, the Lost Tapes isn't mentioned. I figured out it was there because the Cryptid wikis always go to the comment section. You're guaranteed
no.
comedic gold.
That's something I didn't do this time around. I didn't read the comments section on the Cryptid wiki.
Because there's like 9. There's 9 comments on it, and there's one theory. This one's in real bad taste, but some people are like, oh, what if it's people who survived Hiroshima and like mutated and they became Bigfoot creatures? You're like, get the hell out,
Yeah.
because that explanation sucks. But that's one of the comments there. Someone says, it looks like the Jaw Titan from Attack on Titan to me, LOL. Thank you for your comment. But here's how I found out. Someone literally just puts the description, the title opening of Lost Tapes. There are creatures that the science refused to recognize, but our eyes see it. There are cameras capture it. Does it exist? Lost Tapes. Do you believe? Hibagon. Episode title, Hibagon. Subject matter, Hibagon. The summary, group of friends visiting Japan decides to take the opportunity to gain some fame for themselves and start looking for Japanese Bigfoot. So they literally just like copy and pasted the Lost Tapes intro. And then my favorite comment is, hee hee, big monkey.
What the heck? Why are people so weird?
I don't know.
I don't understand.
But yeah, every time you go to Cryptid Wikis, check the comments.
There's a couple other shows that it comes up in as well. One that we bring up on this show quite often, Secret Saturdays.
Ooh.
There's an episode there where the Hibagon is featured and was fused with the mind of a man. I I don't watch a show, so I'm not familiar with who the character is. It just says.
I have no idea.
Yeah, from what I read a brief description because he's in an episode, and I guess he makes a comeback in one of the comic books I did too. But it's a scientist who somehow his brain got transplanted into like a big monkey, and he became the Hibagon.
Interesting.
And he's out in the forest building and still studying his science away from the world.
It's also in the Big Hero 6 series, which I didn't know existed. I only thought it was a movie.
They did a little Disney Channel spin-off show.
Yeah, but the Hibagon is constantly referenced by the character Fred, who claims that it lives in the Murihara woods outside of San Francisco.
Oh.
Yeah, and then the character Ned is transformed into the creature through the use of a patch applied to him by the main villain, which reminds me of the Wild Kratts. And I just wanted to throw that in there. You ever watch the Wild Kratts?
I know the name. I don't know if I've ever watched it.
It's the current series from the Kratt brothers who made Zaboomafoo.
Oh, okay. That's why the name sounds familiar.
It's a half cartoon, half live action. Well, it's not even half live action. They do like a little live action intro, and then it goes into a cartoon. But they're able to transform into any animal because of these suits that they have, and they have these little discs for whatever creature they want, and they just put that disc in the suit, and they suddenly transform into that animal. So that's fun.
The Kratt brothers' lore.
Yeah.
Zaboomafoo takes off.
I know.
It also has a movie too, which I mentioned way at the top because you talked about the Hibagon. Unfortunately, I don't know anything about it. I watched the trailer, but it's in Japanese.
Oh.
So I don't speak Japanese, unfortunately. So yeah. We were mentioning Pokemon earlier as a fun, but there's a game series that references it called Dragon Quest, which Dragon Quest is, I think, like late 80s. It came out on the original Nintendo. It's a little RPG where you play like a character in a fantasy world that fights monsters, and usually the monsters are based on some folklore or references to stuff. One of the monsters is known as the Brainy Baboons. And they're called Hibabongos in Japanese, referencing the creature Hibagon.
Hibabongos.
One of my favorite sort of pop culture things that I came across when doing the research for this episode was accidental. I was Googling Hibagon tracks because I wanted to see photos. I wanted to read more articles about him. There is a 2-piece band called Hibagon. It's a heavy polyrhythmic 2-piece band that channels the energy of the straightforward guitar and drums formula into irregular textures, bringing it back to the listener in geometric and distorted frames. That's their own description. They're Italian.
Of course
we
they are.
listened to a couple tracks and we jammed out for a little bit, but I just thought it was really funny how I'm sitting there trying to find pictures of footprints and I get a SoundCloud profile and I'm like, all right, I'll give it a listen. Some of the other fun things, you talked earlier, Alex, about all the mascots and how Japan really loves their mascots, and there's lots of Hibagon mascots out there. Signs announcing the presence of the Hibagon in certain areas, giant Hibagon statues near the highway, which I think Kyle Brink makes a joke in his book about how one of them can be seen from space.
Yes.
And the image can be found everywhere and is a fixture of the local culture in some towns. And yeah, so like, you can see it at the gas station, bus stop, souvenir shops, the typical places that you would see a local cryptid, get the merch, get the tourism, eat the eggs.
Yeah.
The eggs.
Yeah.
Aye.
The sweet bean.
Sweet bean.
Sweet bean eggs. I think that's all I got.
That's all. All right, thanks.
Yeah. I guess we're Hibagon out of here.
I mean, that's all I got. I don't know. I'm interested to see what Kyle Brink does in the future.
And like we mentioned earlier, he does keep his YouTube channel very updated. The video that I was referencing about the butt prints, that was just posted on November 17th. And for reference, today is November 19th. So
dang.
Only 2 days ago, he's still doing stuff. So he's very active. Only recently became interested in the Hibagon. 2019 is when he first learned about it and kind of dove into it. And
when he saw a sea serpent.
Yeah, it's the whole thing.
Yeah.
Yep.
He saw Nessie and it changed his life to look into Bigfoot.
Basically.
Yeah. Although it wasn't Nessie. It was a different sea monster somewhere else.
In Japan.
Oh,
He
dang.
was in Japan. Because he's from Ontario, Canada. Not California.
I bet you he saw Ogopogo.
And then, no, because
I don't remember what
Lake
he said.
Okanagan's in British Columbia.
Is that not near Canada?
It is Canada, but
Not
he is
Ontario,
from
right?
Ontario. It's
Well,
like
he could go
it's a
over there.
different province. Anyways, he went over to Japan, exchange student style, ended up falling in love, got married, had kids. 2019, he saw a sea serpent in Japan.
Whoa.
And was like, what? And it changed his life forever.
But I think what's so interesting about that is he has gathered all of this info in such a short amount of time. So it's like, imagine how much more can be found and put together and brought to the surface with more time.
Yeah.
It's kind of exciting.
It's kind of cool. A new cryptid that hasn't quite been piled on like Mothman or Bigfoot.
Yeah.
So we might get some. Maybe this is the straw that breaks the camel's back and reveals cryptozoology's real. The Hibagon.
The Hibashiba.
Hibagon.
Wait, did we want to mention too Carrick's documentary?
Sure.
Because that was my basis, my starting point.
Yeah. It's called Hibagon, Ape of Mount Hiba, Cryptozoology Documentary 2023.
Okay.
Oh, brand new.
Yeah, it just came out.
Kyle Brink makes an appearance in it.
Kyle
Oh,
Brink does make an appearance. That's how I found out who he was.
Yeah, and they also do a fun analysis of the photos we talked about earlier, the Fuji TV photos. He gets a couple people to talk about what they see in it, and what they think about it.
that's cool.
Yeah.
Eric always does good work, so I'll check it out.
Well, I guess that's it, guys. It's been a great campfire sesh, but the sun's getting real low.
Real low, little fella. Real low.
I'm ready to crawl into my sleeping bag and go to sleep.
Out here on Mount Hiba.
Yeah, we're out here camping in Mount Hiba, eating Hibagon eggs.
Yeah, eating sweet bean cake.
It'll be a fun trip. Have a little Hibagon themed excursion
Dude,
in Japan.
I want to look at all the mascots.
Yeah.
Mount Hiba sounds cool to me. There's
Yeah.
another
It
reason.
sounds pretty chill. It sounds manageable. It
Well,
sounds...
there's a bunch of megaliths on Mount Hiba, a bunch of weird stuff going on, and 2 of the megaliths are supposedly graves. Graves of 2 like mythological figures in Japanese folklore that created the islands of Japan, and they're buried there on Mount Hiba.
I'm so ready. Let's
I'm like,
go.
whoa, this is sicko.
This guy's talking about digging up the Hibagon grave. Meanwhile, we have certified God graves we gotta dig up.
Yeah, why not?
Yeah, let's do
Let's
it.
just desecrate graves. Anyways.
Hubris, our name is Cryptid Campfire.
Well, I'll sign off just by saying I had a couple sources I want to give a shout out to. I think I talked about most of them in real time while we were recording today. So we've got the Cryptid's Wiki as the starting point to launch us off, which leads us to Cryptomundo. And there's a guest blogger, Brent Swanser, not sure how.
Yeah, or
Nice.
AKA Mystery Man.
Oh.
Yeah, he's on there. We did take a glance at the Wikipedia. We watched Crash Course Cryptozoology from Carrick. We watched that video that we just gave a shout out to. And then I looked at paranormalpapers.com, japanesetales.com, checked out Kyle's YouTube channel, Brinks Books, and then there was a news article from the, I want to say Asahi, but that's not what it is, the Asahi Shimbun Company. That's a newspaper article that did an interview with Mr. Eggy talking about the Hibagon a couple years ago. I don't know, man. If you want to follow me on social media, you can, but I'm not making any promises. So, get on that Instagram, Jasmine Maywith, JasmineMaewith. I'll be there.
All my sources are the same, except for I have the worldatlas.com
Ooh. Get some geographical info there.
that I did not share. So, thanks, but no thanks. And so you can follow me on Instagram at the Eli Watson on Instagram, or email me at eli@smalltownmonsters.com.
Oh, yeah.
That is my official inbox for Bigfoot, UFO, other inquiries.
Yeah. How many cryptids you've seen?
6.
And a half.
Yeah. Well, I think it's your turn.
Oh, that's me. No pressure either. Like Jasmine said, you can follow me. You don't have to. It's not a hostage situation, for God's sakes. I'm here. What do you want? Alex Daikaiju on Instagram. Alex, KIJU. I draw monsters. I draw comics. I'll have a Patreon at some point. It was supposed to happen on Halloween, and then a kitten followed me home, and my whole life has been in disarray since.
Oh, yeah.
So I got a lot of ish going on right now, so don't expect too much from me.
All right.
But thanks for listening, everyone.
Thanks for joining us.
And if we don't see ya next month, we'll see you in the new year.
2024. What the fuck?
It's a coming. It's a coming.
More cryptids, more campfires. You know the deals. We'll see you next time.
There's an animal in trouble.